Hello, 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 and welcome to week 1. And this week we are going to be focusing on self-awareness. But before I get started, I want to make sure that you believe that you are going to be able to yell less. And if you don't believe, then you might as well just stop right now. But if you believe you can, then let's go. See, because you have to understand that your thoughts are things and they are powerful. If you believe you can or can't, you're correct. So just keep listening if you believe you can. Now, the outlay for this week's unit is plan for the no yelling challenge, self-awareness, the inner bitch, 4 ways to stop the inner bitch, characteristics of the inner bitch, and journaling. And then the material that you will need for this in order to complete this video or to do the workbook, you will need a pen, your journals, and an alarm. Now for the journals, last week you were supposed to prepare 2. One for yelling, one for no yelling success, and you either put it in a notebook or via an app. And the app that I recommended again was Evernote, and you can download those in any of the phone stores. So let's get started with planning for the no yell challenge. Now, like anything, when you start something new, it has to become a habit in order for you to be able to do it daily. But see, habits take about 21 days to form, and this is only 30 days. So I got you though. What you need to do is set alarms. See, the alarms will remind you, and be very specific in the titles of the alarms. So for instance, the first alarm that I would want you to set is a reminder to check this Facebook group, to be supportive to the community. I can't do this all by myself. Like if someone has asked a question and you know the answer, please feel free to answer. This is a community. We're doing this together. And it's not about me, guys. I already know how to do this. It's about you. I want you to get the full benefit of it. And one is just being interactive and talking and sharing your experiences, okay? Because someone else might be sharing that same experience and they might not be as bold as you to share, but they are feeling it in a different way. You get what I'm saying? And then the next thing is to set 2 alarms to complete the weekly workbooks or the video. The video is just a replica of the workbook. So you can choose which style of learning you like. Either you like reading or you like looking at videos. And the reason why I said 2 alarms is because there's a lot of info compact in these things. So the minute you start feeling overwhelmed, you're like, this is too much, let it go. Listen, again, I have dropped all the rules. I do not coach the way that most people coach. Most people be like, you got to push through it and yada, yada. No, don't push through it. Stop. Let that emotion pass and then come back. Never push your way through anything, because as I will show you later, the inner bitch will tell you all of these thoughts that will get you to quit. So never push through it, okay? And then the next one is I had threw in 2 bonuses because I really want you to succeed. So the first bonus I threw in was Q&As every Thursday starting next week, Thursday at 9 p.m. where you can ask me any type of questions. And please remember that you can ask me questions throughout the week. I will be posting, day 1, day 2, or whatever. And, and under that thread, you can pretty much post your questions. And then I also added a watch party, and that will be aired on Sundays at 9 a.m. where we will play the weekly videos. And at that time, it plays live so we can interact with each other doing their videos, right? Exciting. And then also to write in your journals. Very important that you log what is going on. Journals are important. Like you hear people expressing, write a gratitude journal and things like that. Like this is pretty much the same thing, right? You want to journal from where you started day 1 to where you are in day 30. Like there's going to be so much growth, but you have to follow my guidance. Um, so, and then the next thing is scheduling in time, right? Like again, I'm a I'm a single mom of 4 boys. I have a business, and I'm a PTSO president. I'm a mental health activist. I'm a storyteller. Like I do all of these things. So now my new hobby is like dancing. So again, I have a crazy schedule as well, but I have created a worksheet called Mama Schedule that breaks down how you can find more time in your day. And I can give you an example of how I found more time in my day. So what I do is I have to get my kids up for school at 6:30. So I wake up at 4:30. From 4:30 to 5:30, I am meditating, and then from 5:30 to 6:30, I am doing work. And that just works for me because it's quiet, there's no distractions, nobody's calling me that early in the morning. And then I don't look at TV. I haven't looked at TV in over 8 years. Like if I go to a friend house, which is rare, and I'm bored or they're watching TV or whatever, I'll put on TV. But I don't turn on the TV. Like, oh my God, let me tell you a crazy story. So for New Year's, this is my first year spending New Year's with my kids. And so the countdown came, and I was playing around to the last minute, and it was like 5 minutes to go. So I go to put on the TV, and I'm pressing. And mind you, I have, for those of you who are in New York or whoever gets Fios, Verizon Fios, I was pressing channel 2, and I kept pressing 2, and it kept going to 500. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I was so frustrated. Like, I didn't even know what channel the daggone countdown was going to be on. So of course I started to get triggered a little bit because I'm like getting impatient because of the time. But I'm like, calling my son, Tamari, can you help me with this TV? Now, mind you, because I don't really look at TV, they don't look at it either, but he was able to put it on a channel. Now, if my behind would have had patience and realized that when I was pressing 2, it was kind of throwing me into like 502, like the basic 2 through 7 and 9 channels, I'm assuming is in the 500s with Fios. But by the time we got the TV on, I think we missed it by like seconds. And I was like, whatever, because I realized that my kids didn't even care about the ball drop anyway. So I gotta think if I really want to hang out with them again next year. But back to the point, guys. So self-awareness. Self-awareness is about conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. But why it's important to you as a parent is because the majority of your parenting is done unconsciously. It has nothing to do with you. It is all in the way how your brain operates. Your brain loves to operate on automation. So it creates this automation based off of patterns. Like it doesn't decipher between right or wrong. It just goes by patterns. So it looks at it, it looks at it like, okay, this is a pattern that this person wants to repeat. So now I'm going to put it in this system. And every time something happens that is similar to this same pattern, then I'm going to give them that same reaction and those same feelings as last time, right? So now pretty much is that you're in automation, right? So example, a lot of you are listing that you get so annoyed when your child isn't listening. So every time your child doesn't listen, you have the same reaction, whatever that reaction is. I know for me, it was just yelling and screaming and just me getting stressed and them still continuing not to listen. All right. So it's because of that lack of awareness that you repeat old patterns. Like in order for you to change the way you are reacting, you literally have to be conscious. And that takes effort, right? But again, your brain doesn't like to create new systems or like new patterns because it takes work. Like it already takes energy to sustain the old patterns. So with new patterns, it takes even more energy. And I will explain to you later on, or do I explain it now? All right. So I was going to say about how the brain gets you to stop. So the brain gets you to stop. Like, its biggest tools to slow you down from creating a new belief is the inner bitch, which I will be going into more detail in this segment, and by your emotions. Like, it's like this grip hold, paralyzing effect. Like, it daunts me when I hear motivational speakers and people be like, just push through it, just push through it. You cannot. You cannot push through some of those debilitating feelings. Like, take it from me. Like, I get it, like what they're saying. I'm just like, no, it's not that easy and it's not that simple. But again, that's not for here. That's in when I teach about mindful living. But now, so the first thing that you can do for breaking old habits is questioning all your beliefs, right? Every single belief system that you have for parenting, I want you to question it this week, right? Dissect it, be a detective, figure out where it came from, right? Where it came from, who it came from. Why am I even listening to this belief? Is it right for my family? Is it right for my child? Because every one of your children are different. I don't know if you've noticed, right? Like for me, I have 4 boys and I have to parent each one of them different because they react in different ways. Some of them I can just put on a stern voice and they'll stop. Others is like, give him a look. My other son is like, give him a look. And then the other one, I have to go through like extreme measures to get him to listen when he's in an emotional funk. An emotional funk is just the symptoms after being triggered. So so question all your beliefs, and then you will begin to realize that most of the beliefs you have came from like society. It comes from your culture. It may came from a friend or something that you see on TV. Like, a lot of it is not even yours. And a part of this mindful parenting is really all about what is that called? Like, making the beliefs or making the parenting decisions that's best for yourself and your child. Remember, there is absolutely no chance that there is a duplicate of you or your children. Right? So that's something to know. So there's no way you could be following with Mary Ann or Sue Ann or whoever is, the methods that they are working. Like, it's going to be frustrating because it may fail for you. So when you go to ask yourself the questions to kind of dig deep and figure out where your beliefs are, I want you to write that in your yelling journal. And in the workbook, I have a list of the questions to ask. I already started asking some of the questions, like, where did it come from? Who did it come from? Did it come from my childhood? Any childhood traumas? Anything like that, okay? And again, you don't have to be limited to the questions that I put. It was just some questions as a starter, and you don't even have to answer all of them. Like, if you feel that you got the answer of where you got it from, then you can stop. I don't want to overwhelm you with work. Just do what's necessary to get to the point. And so the examples that I did put was, why do I believe in yelling? But why? Who did it come from? And then another belief was consequences. And it was the same thing. Why do I believe in consequences? But why? Who did it come from? Where did it come from? So write that in your journal. And again, it's kind of like the why question that we did previously. It's like all about brain dumping, getting it out. Do not stop at one question, because that's just the surface. That's not the deeply rooted answer of where these beliefs came from. You need to dig deep, right? It's like with a tree. You can't just knock down a tree. You got to get down to the roots of the tree, because we are planting a new garden. But in order for that garden to be planted, you have to dig up the old roots and the old beliefs. You can't plant nothing on top of a garden, because you'll just have a whole bunch of weeds, right? It won't be a beautiful, pretty, flourishing garden. So now that you understand, now, that was the first thing about the journals, right? So the next thing, I'm just looking at my notes, which is the workbook. All right, so, my favorite part, but I did write a disclaimer before I start this part. Warning, reading this section may activate the inner bitch. Choose not to listen to that biatch. Read this section with an open mind and know it's not spiritual or religious. So don't think like that. Here we go. The inner bitch. The inner bitch, it is the thoughts that you and only you hear, right? So moving forward, when you hear me refer to the inner bitch, I'm really referring to your thoughts. Now, a little history on where the inner bitch came from. So I originally came up with this name like over 10 years ago because for most of my adulthood, I suffered with depression and suicidal thoughts, right? And I realized that it was the inner bitch that was causing me so much of my misery, right? Like I would lie in bed, curled up, just like playing this horrible nightmare of thoughts in my head. But then one day I realized I'm like, nobody's saying anything to me. Like I'm here in the house by myself. So I was like, you know what? I need to separate myself from this bitch because first of all, I would never talk to my friends the way how the inner bitch was talking to me. And I would never let anybody talk to me like that. So why am I sitting here letting this inner bitch talk to me like that? So in order for me to separate myself, I gave it a name, which is the inner bitch. And I realized why I was like so addicted and I was listening because the bitch uses pronouns, right? And then you're locked in with those debilitating emotions. So when I was coming up with the name, I was thinking, oh, let me be polite and let me use like Beth or Ruth or something. I was like, those names did no justice. Like the only name that worked was bitch. So hence, that's how you have the inner bitch. So again, we all have the inner bitch in our head. She shows up in every part of your life. But we're only going to focus on the parenting when she shows up in parenting, right? So I just wanted to also say that, okay, there was a section here I want to go over. But we'll focus on when, it is important to know that she is an instigator, especially when you are triggered by your child. And after you have calmed down from an emotional funk, and again, an emotional funk are the symptoms of being triggered, right? After that, then she's right back at it, making you feel guilty for your reaction that you had with your child that she caused, right? Like that bitch is the one that convinced you that you should have disciplined your child the way that you did. And now that you're calmed down, now she done flipped the script on you and is like, you're horrible. You shouldn't have done that. That was wrong. You got to take some of that time back. Because usually when you're like in an emotional funk, you're like, you're getting 30 days off. You're getting 60 days off. But then when you calm down, you're like, oh, that was a bit extreme, but I don't think I can take it back now. That would be nice thoughts, but the bitch is like, yeah, I don't know why you did that. And it's like, what? But you're the one that did it. And one thing I got to understand, right, is that the voice doesn't change. It's the same person disguised. Like, that's why I want you to be aware of, the inner bitch. Like I told you to start that last week. And that's what we're going to do throughout the course is be aware of her. Be aware of the thoughts. Be aware of what happens or what thoughts give you different reactions, because that is the real thing to this, mindful parenting, is that once you're aware of your thoughts, you will realize that whatever you're thinking, like words are powerful, right? So it's attached to some sort of meaning. So whatever you're thinking is either going to make you angry or it's going to make you happy. So she starts the thoughts and then it triggers the brain to follow through to give you the emotion so that you can feel whatever you're thinking. And once you feel, it becomes real to you, right? Even though nobody else is feeling it, but you're feeling it, okay? So it's very important to understand her. So Now that you understand her a little bit more, it is time to stop her in her tracks. It is well overdue. So, 4 ways to stop the inner bitch: self-awareness, journaling, mirror talk, and change the channel. So, with self-awareness, like the minute you become aware of her, it decreases her power. Like she starts to like melt away and just like literally shut up. And with journaling, it helps you to understand her better. And with mirror talk, that's all about looking directly in a mirror and facing the mirror and talking to her out loud. It's not effective if you do it inside your head because she keeps the power. You have to speak out loud and give her some business. Act like you are talking to a person that just told you something that was inappropriate, right? Yeah. And give it all. And you know what happens? Like, again, that like shrinks her down. Like she has nothing to say, especially when you're speaking out loud. And the next trick I have is change the channel, right? When you are surfing for something on the internet, on a show to watch on TV, you keep just shifting through the channels until you get to a station or a show that you want to see. Guess what? You have the same power with the thoughts that are going on in your head. If there are thoughts that are going on in your head that you don't want to listen to and is not making you feel good at all, guys, change the channel. You have the power. You do not have to listen. Change it. Ignore it. But again, it's not as easy because negative thoughts are very addicting. And studies show that negative thoughts are addicting. And 80% out of the 50,000 thoughts that you have daily are negative. So that's another pattern that you have to break. But again, I don't really go over that in here, but just know that it's a habit and it's addictive. Like it's as addicting as sugar, guys. Like it's addicting to think negative. Like think about it. You're going out for a job interview and whatever, and what is your first instinct? What thoughts did the inner bitch start throwing at you? Oh, I'm not going to make it. You know, they're not going to hire me because of this, and this. Same thing. If you are running late for something, like your instinctive thought is to think negative. You have to retrain yourself. So like now what I do is like, I used to always think, because I live in New York City and it's always hard to find a park. So I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go downtown because it's always so hard to find a park. Until I realized how powerful my thoughts were. I was like, I love going downtown because every time I go down there, I find a park. And guess what, guys? I find a park literally every time. Like sometimes I may have to wait a little longer, but I find a park. All right, so things the inner bitch say to parents. Now remember, she gets you because she uses pronouns. She will say, I failed as a parent. I yelled at him. I am a failure. Why did I become a parent? Like, I can't do this shit. I don't have patience. And again, if you say you don't have patience, you're giving a directive to your brain to give you all the examples to confirm what you are saying. Your brain does not know the difference between right or wrong or what's true or what's true or what's false. Guys, be mindful of what you are thinking. And that was an added bonus right there. Like, I love you guys. Characteristics of the inner bitch. She's manipulative. She's psychotic. Like, she is going from like one thought to the next thought. She done jumped back 10 years ago, jump back to something you did as a child, jump back to something that your parent did. Like, she's all over the goddamn place. Yeah, she just wants attention. She's like a 2-year-old child. Ugh. She talks a lot, like I said, over 50,000 thoughts. She's very impatient, like, and demanding. Like, she wants all the attention to be on her. She's selfish. And she's a freaking bully, guys. She's a bully. She bullies you into doing stuff. It's like she takes your school lunch every day. You know, like, come on. Like, she's ripping away your peace. She causes misery. And she's very fearful. Like when you're trying to do something new, like she's always throwing out thoughts like, nah, we can't do it. Like, I can't do that. Nope. Like this challenge, you probably had thoughts of, nope, I can't, I would never go without yelling. Like, you're right, it's in my nature. That's what my culture do. And like, bitch, shut up. She's arrogant. And she's a freaking fraud, right? Like, she needs to go to jail. And that's the thing. It's like, when she's in control of you, it's like you're in a mental prison. And for me, I would rather be in a physical prison. You know why? Because at least I know there are bars there. But that's all right. I am letting you out of this mental prison. I just did by giving you awareness to that inner bitch, guys. Woo! I feel so excited because I love putting her on blast. I do. I studied her so much. Like once I discovered her, like I became obsessed with studying her, studying emotions and studying human behavior. Like, and I've been doing it for like 10 years and it's ongoing. So I don't even know. I don't have no words. But anyway, be aware and journal and change the channel, my friends. Now we're going into journaling. So the first journal we're going to work with is the yelling journal. So this journal is to be used when you lose your shit and you yell. Again, you are going to have moments when you yell, guys. It's addictive. It's a pattern. Sorry, guys. It's addictive. It's a pattern. And it's, you can't just break patterns overnight. Just like you can't just chop a tree down in one chop, right? It takes like a lot of chops. But again, I'm going to say something that discredits what, most coaches or whatever say. But you learn best through your failures, right? And I think, no, I'll take that back. Like a lot of successful people say that, like you got to fail. Somebody, I remember who it was that like got no like over 1,000 times. I don't know, write it in the notes, guys. I forgot who it was. But anyway, and then afterwards he finally got it. But it's the same thing like with this. But the reason why I want you to journal is like the time when you yell is like, all right, let that crap out. Like let out that frustration because you do not want to hold it in because it builds up and then you lash out. And the person, the poor innocent person that you usually lash out on is your child. So go off and like let that crap out. Have a good time. And especially in the mirror. Look yourself in the mirror. It's so exciting. And as you're doing it, you will notice that you will start to de-escalate. And when you de-escalate, then you want to start asking the questions like, what was I thinking? Like, was this inner bitch telling me some shit to like spike me or enhance this anger? What was I feeling? Was there warning signs? Was it like my child's unique character? Like just really dissect what it is. And a lot of questions are listed. And again, you don't have to answer all the questions. Just answer enough to like really dissect what happened. Because what you're doing is you're digging, like you're digging the dirt, like you're getting down to the root. Like every time you yell and you dissect it, like you're getting to the core, like you pulling that out and you're starting to create a new belief. And important, please, guys, I want you to celebrate your successes. Those times when you don't yell, and we'll go over that a little later. And absolutely do not let that bitch ridicule you about yelling. Because I want you to have times when you yell, because that's when you are going to learn from it, right? The only time you really fail in this is if you hold on to it and you're listening to this bitch of like, you're never going to be able to do it and yada, yada, yada. And then you don't let go of it. It's like, no, there's a lesson to be learned. Learn it and just let it go and flow on into the next segment. So now the next thing is the No Yelling Success Journal. Now this journal is to be recorded in every time you obviously have success with not yelling, but even the time when you were yelling, yeah, and then you became aware that you're yelling and you started to bring it down. That's success, guys. That is success. or the time when you were about to yell and you felt like the inner warning and you kind of turned away. Or I had also told you guys to create systems to set up your house where there are warnings. Now, the color is blue. Blue is calming. Like, blue is my favorite color because blue is the sky and water. Or if your child like held up a word or held up, the blue, like if you listen to the different alternatives or whatever, and they got you to calm down, like whatever it is, mark it down, because then you'll be able to understand. Then you'll be able to create your own alternatives to not yelling, guys. It's important. And you know what? We have hit the end of the road. And I was having so much fun, too much fun that I didn't even realize that I have been talking for 30 minutes. Sorry, guys. So thoughts are just suggestions, right? And what I mean by that, although the inner bitch is like throwing thoughts at you, you do not have to listen to them. It's just a suggestion on what you want to think. Just like with files, they have over 500 channels. It's just a suggestion. You don't have to listen or look or watch every one. Until the next, what do I want to say? Unit. Bye for now.